Hello dear World of Warcraft friends, welcome back to a new video on my channel. At this point I want to give you a few tips about the crests from Season 2. It's also a bit about crafting. All in all, I just want to guide you on which crests you can spend without any worries, where you might want to think twice, and which ones are extremely valuable and shouldn't be used for item upgrades. I'll show you all of that. If you like this, feel free to leave a like and subscribe. I would really appreciate it. Let's hit 38,000 together. And with that, let's get started. So basically, starting today, it's possible to earn even more crests. We have Adventurer, Veteran, Champion, and then we also have Hero and Myth crests. So those are the ones that weren't available at the start of the season or the patch. And here I have to say, you can use Adventurer Crests without any worries, just like Veteran Crests. How you handle the remaining crests depends a bit on what the maximum is that you can achieve. So if you know you'll be running 10 keys in the first or second week and getting hero gear and farming Myth Crest, then you can pretty much spend everything up to champion. However, if you know, okay, so heroic items are the maximum for me, then I would start to manage the champion crests a bit and keep an eye on them. Okay, I don't just blindly use them on every item, but maybe wait until the end of the week to see if I get a good trinket and then fully upgrade that. That basically applies to every group. Ideally, you always want to upgrade trinkets or weapons and use your crests for that. Not just randomly on, I don't know, boots or a cloak or whatever. The reason behind this is also pretty simple. Usually those are the slots that give you the biggest damage gains. If, for example, you haven't looted anything in those slots and still want to spend your crest somehow, then something like head, chest or legs is best. Because that's where the secondary and main stats are the highest. That means here you'll also gain the most percentage-wise with an upgrade. But like I said, trinkets and weapons have priority. So if you now say, okay, I'm going for hero and mythic gear, then you really need to manage well. Especially with your mythic crests. I would say in the first week you definitely shouldn't spend the mythic crests on any upgrades. Apart from the fact that it's almost impossible to get a mythic item outside of the mythic raid, you want to use those for crafting.
My insight is that I'm not only interested in myself, but also in myself. Here.
I can only recommend, if you don't know what to craft, check out Wowhead for example. They also have crafting guides for every class. For me, a raid weapon is actually best in slot, but I won't get it because I don't raid. So it would definitely make sense to upgrade this ritual dagger here. And that's what I meant. It doesn't make much sense to use mythic crests for that. Just hypothetically, if you got some shoes, it doesn't make sense to upgrade them when I can craft a mythic weapon directly with 80 crests. Do you understand what I mean? So you have to take that into account at that point. That way, you just bump yourself up to 334. And those other slots won't make up for it. In general, it's also possible to get 4 sparks this week. That means, theoretically, you can craft 2 items or a two-handed weapon. For a two-handed weapon, I would definitely say go for it. If you have 2 items to choose from, I would say craft one this week and the next one next week. The reason is simply, you waste crests that way. Even hero crests are very valuable at the beginning because they're capped and reserved for the strongest items in the game. If you say now, okay, I craft a weapon, just as an example, I use the mythic crests for that. And I know I most likely won't replace it. That's a good investment. You always want to put the crests into items where you know you won't replace them for a long time. Now, of course, I could say, okay, I have 80 hero crests, right? Easy peasy. I'll just use them and put them into the offhand. Then I've crafted or upgraded 2 items right away. But that only makes limited sense because the following week, again with 80 Mythic crests, I could upgrade this offhand to Mythic. That means I'll have a slightly weaker offhand for a week, but the crests for it will be completely wasted. It's better to spend them on specific upgrades like trinkets or other slots. Since upgrading to Mythic lets you skip Heroic right away, you simply don't have to spend that extra 80 crests. Unfortunately, I made that mistake in the first season because I wasn't thinking. I immediately crafted Heroic Bracers for my second embellishment. Instead, I should have upgraded some trinkets. And the next week, I upgraded it to Mythic. And I thought, yeah, those 80 crests now, I really should have put them into 4 other upgrades instead. So, like I said, be very careful with Mythic crests. At the beginning, it's better to use them for crafting first. With the hero crests, also think about where it makes sense to use them and where it doesn't. Like I just said, for example, when it comes to crafting stuff, it's not necessarily a good idea to use everything up right away. And regarding item upgrades, for example, I would approach it like this, just to go through it hypothetically. For the first few days, I just play and don't upgrade anything. Well, unless I actually get my best in slot heroic trinket from Mythic Plus on the first day. Then you could say, okay, that makes sense. If that's not the case, I just play through the first week. And first I check which slots I got gear for. And until then, I don't spend a single crest. At most the weapon for crafting, because I can't spend the mythic crests any other way. Then at the end of the first lockout I take stock and see, okay, what are my best heroic items? And those are the ones I upgrade. Where do I maybe have good veteran items or champion items? Then I can upgrade those as well. And that way, I've spent my points in the most efficient way. And like I just said, also with the heroic crests, it's best to spend them in a slot where you know you won't be replacing the item anytime soon. Sure, a good vault item can always show up, but for example, you can't fully upgrade 2 heroic trinkets in the first week. You can upgrade one of them, and if you get a second one, that's great. But if there's a good mythic trinket in the vault, perfect. You can take that and replace the other one you didn't upgrade, because you won't lose anything in the end. But if you now say, okay, I use my heroic tokens and upgrade boots that might even have bad stats. And next week, you just loot your best in slot mythic boots from your vault. Who would want to waste that? So think about it a little, invest in useful slots, and then you'll actually be pretty well equipped. Yeah, with that, thank you very much for watching. I hope this whole thing helped you a bit. If it did, leave a like, subscribe, see you in the next video. Have a good time and take care.